in order to turn a cold prospect into a paying customer, you cannot just open up a website and have a link there that says book a free discovery call, and suddenly, boom, the next day you got 20 calls booked in your calendar. How many you get? Like that's not happening. Who many gets like that's, you cannot open up a website and have a book a free discovery session. Suddenly you got a full book next week. You can't open up a sales page and a funnel and have your $2,000 coaching program there, and suddenly you wake up and you've made money while you sleep. That doesn't happen. You actually need to actively market yourself in order to get a paying client. Who gets this, by the way? This is what I mean. You actually have to do some work to get a paying client. But the question is whether your work pays off and whether it's worth the time. How many you get that? Like that's it. Like, because a lot of us, I don't think we're afraid of hard work. It's just the work doesn't pay off, or it's not worth our time. And so right now, in order for you to turn a cold customer into a paying client, the marketing that you need to do are one of these options. And you may have tried some of these and it didn't work, or not to the way you like it, and that's probably why you're here. Or they seem too overwhelming and you don't even know where to start. So you can definitely send cold DMs to try to sell your stuff. Now, we never teach it, we never will. I don't recommend doing it. Type in the chat screen if you got a cold DM in the last 7 days, and more importantly, how did it make you feel, or what do you think about people who send you cold DM? If I open up my phone right now, I guarantee if I go to my outbox, there's at least a dozen cold DMs. Yes, it feels a bit scammy, says Ken. Paul says, I ignore them. Yeah, cold DMs, nah, delete, it says Renee. 100%. 100%. But you can do that. You know, it's not their fault because someone is teaching them that. There's probably a course out there that they got sold into only to realize that they've been told to do cold DMs because they were taught that it's a numbers game. When it's not a numbers game, it's a trust game. Write that down. That's key. You can use appointment setters to book calls for you, but the problem with appointment setters is you need a list, you need a following, you need engagement in your content. Otherwise, what are they booking your calls from? They can't. 0 times 1,000 is still 0. 0 times infinity is still 0. You need some list or some following for setters to work. Show of hands if this is making sense. So I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's not going to work when you're starting out. Now, you can use sales funnels, which is very complicated. They do work, but then you have to understand copywriting. Above the fold, below the fold. Should I do a VSL? Should I do a static video? Should I do what's it, 32% page conversion, good or not good? 8% OTO, good or not good? What about the order bump? What about the guarantees? What about the email sequences? Overwhelming, not doing it. You can definitely use events and workshops. You can use VSLs, which is a mini webinar. You can use webinars. You can do all these things. The problem with these things is, how do I fill it up? What if no one shows up? How do I even run one? What about the tech involved? I've got a studio here. I've got multiple cameras here. What about the tech? And yet alone, how do I speak one to many? If I've got 10 people in the room and they've got the cameras off, oh my gosh, how do I deal with that? Yet alone, if they've got the cameras on and it looks lost, how do I deal with that? Then you have to learn the skill set of speaking. And then once you learn the skill set of speaking, then you have to learn how to sell one to many. You know, when I started out coaching 8 years ago, the only thing that was available was to get clients was run a live workshop in your local area, get 10, 15, 20 people, 100 people in, and then at the end, present an offer, and then they will buy. And that was the only thing that was available back then. And so I spent $5,000 on how to run a workshop, only to realize, oh my gosh, I'm actually not that good at speaking. In fact, speaking was my number one fear. And then I dropped another $8,000 in a speaking course to learn how to speak to a live audience. And part of that course was learning on how to write on a flip chart. And then after that, then I had to learn the tech involved. And then that wasn't working. I was 6 months in, workshops were not working, because I realized that I didn't learn how to sell one to many. And now suddenly I have to drop another $12,000 on a sales course to learn how to sell one to many, after learning how to speak one to many, after learning all the tech, learning all the filling in the room. And then finally, about 7, 8 months in, workshops started making money for me. But I had to spend 7 to 8 months investing more money to learn the skills to make it work. And I lost a lot of time. Who sees the skill sets required just to make that thing work? Now, did it work? Yeah, eventually, but I had to spend a lot of money, a lot of skills to make it work, and everybody else is telling you that that's easy. It is not. If it was, You wouldn't be here, and if it was, everyone would be successful. No one tells you the hidden skills. You need to make these things work. And so people try this, it doesn't work, and they're like, oh my gosh, I should try something different. Oh, this new thing called challenges. They look awesome. How many of you have sat in a 5-day challenge before? Who sat in a challenge before? Show of hands. Cool. Keep your hand up if you know what a challenge is. So raise your hand if you know what you want a challenge. Like Tony Robbins does a challenge, Russell does, cool. They all do challenges. A challenge is amazing, 100%. They are so good. But then it comes to you wanting to run one, it is 100 times harder than a masterclass or webinar because you have to entertain people for 5 days straight. Now the concept makes sense, of course, because it's the best way to build trust. Because imagine spending 5 days with someone, you're going to build so much trust that whatever you will have to offer, it's going to be very hard for them to say no to because they trust you so much. So how many get that challenges work because they build trust in the best possible way in less than 5 days? 100%. But how many you get that's 5 times harder to run that than a webinar because now you've got 5 people in the room for 5 days straight. And if you've ever thought about running a challenge, you probably didn't do it because it's overwhelmingly difficult. Who's following this right now? Right? The bad news is these are your only current options. And you've got to pick one of these things because you've got to find a way to market yourself. Type in the chat screen, it's a yes or no question if you've done one of these things. If you've done one of these things, it's a, yep, okay, yes, 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 yes. And if you haven't, type in the chat screen, why not? My guess is because it's overwhelming and you don't know where to start. Is that a fair assumption? Show of hands, is that a fair assumption? Yeah, 100%. And my guess is when you started doing this, it was harder than you thought. Correct, 100%. Now, that's Struggle Street. What if there was a new way to do this where you didn't have to learn all those skills? And I mean that sincerely. And you could literally get started right after this training right now. And I mean that sincerely as well. And many of you think I'm just making stuff up. But once I share this framework with you, you are going to be blown away. And that's an understatement. There is a new way, and it's called a tiny challenge, which removes all the stress, all the overwhelm, all the skill, all the experience required with every other framework that is available to you right now. And just to give you context of what a tiny challenge is, as I explain this to you, half the room will be completely confused, will think this won't work, this is weird, this is strange. The other half will be like, that is genius. Now, who knows who Russell Brunson is? Show of hands. Who knows who Russell Brunson is? Yep, very cool. Okay, in case you don't know, I think about 10% of the room didn't have their hand up. This is Russell Brunson, considered the GOAT of marketing.
The next man we're about to bring up is the single greatest marketer of the 21st century.
The GOAT of the marketing industry.
New York Times best-selling author, collects books.
His ideas have literally shaped, crafted, and molded how we view modern-day marketing.
But also, everything he does is with integrity.
The one, the only.
Get on your feet and make some noise for Mr. Russell Brunson!
So that's who Russell Brunson is. Now, I remember I explained this to Russell Brunson. And the first time I explained it to him, he said, I'm a bit confused. I don't really see it working. This sounds strange to me. He was like, yeah. And I said, oh, okay, Russell, let me re-explain to you. Obviously, I'm not explaining myself clearly enough. And so I re-explained to him what a tiny challenge is. And the moment he got it, the penny dropped. And then to his words, he said, this is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. I'm blown away. This needs to be the future of marketing. And so when I explained to him, he's like, Richmond, I need you to be on my podcast. And so he interviewed me for 45 minutes on his podcast, which some of you guys may have seen on YouTube. And then at the end of the podcast, he was even more blown away to the point he says, okay, I'm running Funnel Hacking Live in a couple of months' time, and I want you to be the headline speaker on day one in front of 10,000 people because the world needs to learn about this. And that's how I got on Funnel Hacking Live. And so he's released 2 podcasts since then. And the most recent one he released on Tiny Challenges says this: the future of marketing in 2025 and beyond, big shifts. And in this podcast here, he talks about all things tiny challenges. So if you're wondering if you're in the right place, you're 100% in the right place. So what is a tiny challenge? A tiny challenge is simply this. For half the room, you might be a bit confused. With our half, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's awesome, but just hang tight with me. Just hang tight with me no matter what you're feeling, because this will be a big breakthrough moment for most of you. Now, a tiny challenge is like a traditional challenge, except it's delivered one-on-one with just you and another person. Not in a group, with just you and another person, one-on-one. Thus, it removes all the overwhelm, it creates huge amounts of reciprocity, and converts like crazy. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. It's like a normal challenge, but it's done one-on-one. Now, you might think, what? I can do that? Is it, oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's one-on-one. It can be free or it can be paid. It can be free or can be paid. And it's 3 to 5 calls done over 30 minutes long, delivered over 3 to 5 days. That is it. 3 to 5 calls, 30 minutes long, delivered over 3 to 5 days. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Now, you might be questioning, okay, if I do a free one, that's awesome. If I do a paid one, that's equally awesome. If I do a paid one, how much should I charge? Now, if you're going to do a paid one and you've never done a tiny challenge before, well, I would recommend you do one of two things. You probably charge a fully refundable commitment deposit of maybe $47 or something like that, or $97, just fully refundable, just because you want to weed out time wasters. Or you may just do a donation to charity. Hey, in order to do this, just donate $40 or $50 to charity. If that's going to be the first few ones that you charge, just kind of gauge where the market is at. It's crazy good offer, but it kind of gets a bit of commitment. Give me a hands up if that's making sense, right? If you're thinking about charging. Otherwise, just do the free version. But that's what it is. It's one-on-one, free or paid, and it's 3 to 5 calls, 30 minutes each over 3 to 5 days. Now, I'm going to explain why this works so well and how it can work for you no matter what niche you're in, even if you're in B2B. By the way, if you just joined us, scan this QR code. It'll take you directly to the workbook. We're going to drop it in the chat screen just for you as well. So how did I discover this framework? It happened by accident because I was running workshops and I was successful at it only because I had to spend over $25,000 to learn how to do it properly and spend eight months of my time to learn it. But then I wanted to start to run challenges because it made more sense to build more trust. And it was like, wow, spend 5 days with someone, you become best friends after that. And it's just the trust is so high because I like to play the trust game. I don't like the numbers game. And so I like to play the trust game. And so I was so overwhelmed with running a challenge though, because not only had I not run anything for 5 days straight before, but then how do I fill up the room? How do I engage them? What if no one shows up? Or worse yet, what if one person shows up? Because if no one shows up, no one knows. But if 1 or 2 people showed up, that's embarrassing. And I was so crippled with fear, I didn't do anything for 3 months. And guess what happens when you don't take action in your business for 3 months? You don't make any money. And I had to make money fast because I had a family to feed. And so I've decided, you know what, I'm so scared of running one and failing that I decided to run one to one person. Just not proud of it, but I'll just do it to one person. That way I can't fail. And they'll show up, I can do it anytime, I didn't have to do a launch. And lo and behold, I did not realize how powerful it would be, how much reciprocity it was, and the conversion rates were through the roof. And that's what gave rise to what I call now a tiny challenge. And I asked myself, oh my gosh, this needs to be the starting point of every single person if they have not made their first $100,000 online. So that's how I discovered the framework just by accident. Why was it so powerful? I want you to imagine a group challenge or even a group webinar or masterclass. In order to run that, you have to have some tech skills. Now, some of you might be good at tech, but in order to run a tiny challenge, you do not need any tech skills. Why? Because all you need to do is once you find someone that's wanting to do a tiny challenge, you pick up your phone and you just call them. You don't even need Zoom. Everybody knows how to make a phone call. That's it. So, and I mean, you don't need any tech skills at all. We got grandmothers and grandfathers running tiny challenges and they're bad with tech, but because they know how to use a phone. Who's following this right now? Which means it's super easy, super simple. With anything group, like a group challenge, you have to have presentation and speaking skills, one to many. Now, that's a skill worth learning, but it means you have to learn and invest money to learn it. And if you're not good at it, you're going to bomb everything because your presentation skills are awful. With a Tiny Challenge, you don't need any because it's done one-on-one. You can literally do it over the phone. You have to have some marketing skills and a launch date to do this. So if you think about doing a group challenge or a masterclass, oh my gosh, I want to launch it. Should I market it a month out, 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out? Should I market it a week out? How do I market it? How do I fill up a room? Oh my gosh, should I start on a Monday? What about public holidays? Oh my gosh, long weekend, Australia Day. Oh my gosh, July 4th, long weekend, Easter. Should I do it 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 10 p.m.? Oh my gosh, what about the time zone difference? 12 o'clock, 1 hour course. Now I don't even start. Who's seeing the difficulty there? 100%. In a Tiny Challenge, you don't have to launch anything because it's one-on-one. If you were to get a Tiny Challenge registration right now, and well, you say, well, hey, oh my gosh, you want into my Tiny Challenge or one-on-one challenge? Oh, well, I can't do it now, but I can do it in about 2.5 hours time because I'm on this training with this Asian guy from Australia, and it's so good right now. But let me book in that first call. Does that call work for you at 12 o'clock? And they may be like, oh my gosh, it does. You can do it in 2.5 hours at our first call? Yes. And you didn't even have to launch it or learn the tech or learn the speaking. And once you get on that first call, book in the next 4 calls. Hey, does this time every day work for you for the next 4 or 5 days? And oh my gosh, it does. Oh my gosh, Wednesday, it actually doesn't work for me. I've got this kids' pianos, kids' lessons, all that kind of stuff. Can we do that call at 8 a.m.? You're like, oh my gosh, that works for me. Oh no, Saturday, Sunday, we're going away on this long weekend, this planned trip. Can we do that call maybe like Saturday evening at night when the kids go to sleep? I can do that either. And suddenly you got all 5 calls booked in and you get a 100% show rate. That's key. Ultimate flexibility, and you never had to launch. The number one reason why when you do a group event that people don't show up is because the time didn't work. Think about it. We got 92 people in the Zoom room right now. In order for me to get 92 people in the Zoom room, you know how many people I needed registered for this event? 600. Now, we have industry average is a 10% show rate. 10% show rate. So meaning that if I got 600 who registered, I normally would get 60 people in the room, but because I've been doing this for a while, I can get 92 people in the room. And that's meant to be good. Now, where are the other 500 people? You know the reason why they're not here predominantly because just time just did not work for them. Think about it. The reason why some of you got here on time and cannot stay to the end is because time doesn't work for you. The reason why some of you just jumped in late is because the start time didn't work for you. In a Tiny Challenge, the time always works. Who's following this right now? This is key. This is huge. And it gets even better still. You don't need a big list. You can start anytime, 100% show rate. This is easy for you to work full-time, ultimate flexibility, ultimate location and time frame. You can do it anywhere. We got students, including myself, run Tiny Challenges while I'm in transit to the airport, while sitting in the lounge. You can do this anytime, anywhere. Now, here's one of the best things about it and the biggest misconceptions. Every other framework will attract a time waster. It just will. People will turn up, cameras off, they're not engaged, they're doing other things, they just, maybe turn up to day 1 of your challenge and not turn up to the other days. Whereas in a Tiny Challenge, you attract the most highly qualified prospects. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions. Richmond, what if I do a Tiny Challenge and, oh my gosh, it's 3 to 5 calls, 30 minutes each, over 3 to 5 days, and they're just a time waster. Now, how many of you sometimes get frustrated by time wasters? Who gets frustrated by the time wasters? Yep, we all do, and we don't want them. Here's what we found, and this is what I used to think as well, until I started doing them and I realized, wow, the people coming into this are way more qualified than I've ever had before, and here's the reason why. So if everyone, you want to pull out your phone for a second, I want to show you something. This is going to blow your mind, okay? If you pull out your phone, and I'll show you my phone, right? On the front page of my phone, I've got 4 apps by 5, so I've got 20. I've got 20 apps there, and then I can scroll across and got another 20, and that's it. I can't scroll anymore, right? How many pages can you scroll? I'm just curious. Type in the chat screen. I've only got 2. Austin, wow, 1. You are focused. Ken has 9. 9 says Paul. 7 Anil. 1 for Justin. 4, 10, 8, 6. Cool. Everyone write this down. The number 1 enemy to your success is distraction. Who would agree? Who would agree? Yeah. Guess what this is? Your number one enemy. But it's also your friend too, isn't it? Yeah? It can be both. Every app on your phone is designed to do one thing. What do you think that is? To get your attention. Why does every single app on your phone want your attention? Because once it has your attention, it has your data, and data is the new oil. Who gets data is the new oil, and the world we live in right now is to get your data so they can rerun ads to you and get your attention and sell that data to other companies. That's how they're making money. That's the world we live in. And so I don't want to say that we're living in a fantasy land. That's the reality of the situation. 10 years ago, if you said, hey, I've got shiny object syndrome, no one will know what you're talking about. Why? Because getting your attention 10 years ago was relatively easy. It's so hard now because everything's trying to get your attention. Who's following this right now? This is important. That's just fine. If you look at my phone, I've got Instagram wants my attention. I guarantee you that. Facebook, Spotify, Google Maps, WhatsApp, YouTube, Messenger, Camera, Gmail, Audible, Uber, Voxer, ChatGPT. Every single time I use one of those apps, one-on-one, they want me to stay on there longer. The more I stay on there, the more I type, the more I do things, the more they have that data on me, the more they can use it against me or sell it to other companies. Who's getting this right now? And every app, and if you've got 9 pages, well, my guess is you probably have some overwhelm in your life right now. And you probably struggle to focus. That's just the truth of it. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. That's why I deliberately delete the pages, because I know if I have 9 pages, it's going to draw me in. That's just your phone. Outside this is Netflix, is YouTube, is your parents, is your spouse, is your kids, is your team, is your friends. Everything else is trying to pull you away and from your attention. And so if someone agrees to give 5 calls to you one-on-one over 5 days in a tiny challenge, guess what it tells you about that person? They have a problem they want solved right now in a world where everything's trying to pull away their time and their attention. Who's following this right now? Which means they're the most qualified client. It's crazy. I personally would not sit in a tiny challenge if I didn't have a problem I want solved right now because I'm busy. 3 kids, my wife Penny, a business. We got 17 full-time staff right now. We're busy. Who's getting this right now? This is an important concept. I'm going to share with you some statistics later of our students running their first 5 tiny challenges, their first 10, their first 15, and how many clients they're converting. You're going to be blown away. And they've never coached before. Why? Because the framework attracts the highest quality clients. Who's getting this right now? It is awesome, but it gets even better still because part of the framework, you are going to have some accountability. And it's difficult to hold group accountability, but one-on-one accountability is always superior. And so if I wanted to go to the gym and I had some group accountability and I wasn't really feeling up for it, I'd sit at the back of the class so the teacher doesn't really notice me. And I'm there, but I kind of won't do a full session. Anyone done something like that before? We've all been there. Just show of hands. Yeah, of course, that's okay. But if you had a one-on-one trainer and I was at the gym and I wanted to go for 10 squats, now, if I had a one-on-one trainer there, guess what's happening? I'm doing 12. Because write this down, with one-on-one accountability, your students always do more. Here's the second thing that will happen. Those 12 that I do, I will do them with better form. I'll do them better. So with accountability, your students always do better. They do more and they do better. Guess what happens when you have a client or a prospect come in, they're already pre-qualified because they're the highest quality client because they're giving their attention to you, they have a problem they want solved now, and they get accountability, and so they do more and they do better over the 5 days. Imagine the progress they experience, and they want the problem solved now. At the end of it, they're just ready to buy whatever you offer them. Who can see that? Like, this is why the conversion's so high. And they're gonna be like, I wish I'd found you sooner. Where have you been all my life? What the hell? But this is where it gets really critical and really important. Now, we got 94 people in the Zoom right now. I would love 94 responses to the next question I ask. If everyone could just participate, even if your camera's off, please participate in this next question because I want the whole room to see this demonstration right now because you guys are going to demonstrate something. Now, I want you to think about a competitor in your space, right? one of your competitors in your space, whoever that may be, but have you seen online, it's a yes or no answer, have you seen online on any social media platform, on any platform, whatever, someone in your space advertising one-on-one challenge, 5-day tiny challenge or something like that? Have you seen someone advertising that at all in your space as a competitor? Look, we got 1 yes, 2 yeses, but look at the rest. Look at everyone just look at the screen. Look at the screen. So you got 3 yeses. That's how I found out. The iPhone, that's how you found. 3 yeses, and 30, 40 no's, something like that. Who just saw that, by the way, right? Yep, I hope you guys just saw that. What does this mean? It means that there's a football stadium out there with your ideal clients and there's no hot dog stand. Write this down. Your biggest competitive advantage in business is always when you do not have competition. Who's following this right now? Always. That is the biggest competitive advantage you'll ever get in business when you don't have competition. And as you just saw from the chat screen, there's a football stadium out there with no hot dog stand except for about 4 or 5 people where there might only be 1 hot dog stand. Now, if you open up a hot dog stand where there is none there, you could have cold, stale, expensive, crappy hot dogs and you will still sell out because you have 0 competition. Now, if you open up a hot dog stand and there's 100 other stands there and you were the cheapest and you sold organic and you were the best, you will still be broke because there's another 100 there. Who's following this right now? This is really important. Now, I'm not saying you should sell cold, crappy, expensive hot dogs. Don't do that. But you have this prime opportunity right now where you can get in the marketplace and there's no one there. And it may seem like it's a scam. What? This is too good to be true. There's no one there. You know why there's no one there? Because the world doesn't know about Tiny Challenges yet. Because I only released this to the public only late last year when I was at Funnel Hacking Live. This is so rare to have this vehicle where you could be the first. Who's getting this right now? First of all, is this useful? I want to make sure, like, this is huge. I hope you're getting something super valuable right now and you feel my urgency because I wish I was your avatar right now. However, I'm not, but if I was, I'm not just opening up 1 hot dog stand. I'm opening up 100. You know, I'm just gonna have a whole chain. Who's getting this right now? Like, this is because there's an advantage. Now, if you're not the first one, you're not going to lose $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 and some time. You could potentially lose hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars by not being the first one because there's a huge advantage. Thank you, O'Neill. I see you nodding. There's a huge, Ken's nodding as well. Like, there's a huge first mover advantage. Who gets this right now? And if you're in the tech space, you know it's first to market. It's first to market share. Like, you know there's a principle there. But it gets even better still. And this is the part where I'd love for you guys to start paying attention. So if your camera's not on, I'd love for you to turn on your camera for this because it'll allow you to pay more attention because this will, the penny will drop. And this is part I explained to Russell Brunson and this is like when the penny dropped for him and this is what got me on stage. So imagine you run a challenge to 10 people and you wanted to fill up the room and get 10 people in the room. Go ahead, type in the chat screen. Go ahead, type in the chat screen. How many do I need registered to get 10 people in the room? How many do I need registered? Yeah, about 100, sometimes even 200. Yeah, you're right, about 100. Now, getting 100 people to register for a masterclass or a group challenge or whatever it is should be overwhelming for a lot of you because you might be thinking, how do I even get 100 people? Where do I find them? Yet alone, you have to learn the tech, you have to learn the speaking, you have to learn how to sell one-to-many, you have to have a proven offer, you have to learn how to fill up the room, you have to learn how to all those things. Just get 10 people in the room and you need 100 people registered. And at the end of it, you're going to present an offer and you don't really know what you're doing. And everybody says no. It's not 10 people that say no. It's 100 people that said no. Who's getting this right now? And at the end of it, maybe the only person that bought was your sister who you love to death and you gave her 90% off and you sold your course for $100 and you sold your soul with it as well. Who's getting this right now? Cool. So, I know you guys are laughing, but that's true. That's why you're here. Let's just say you do 10 tiny challenges, go ahead, type in the chat screen. If I wanted to do 10 tiny challenges, how many people do I need to find? How many people do I need registered? Correct, 10, not 20, 10, because it's a 100% show rate. It's a 100% show rate. So you do your first tiny challenge. It's okay. Now, how many of you have cooked pancakes before? Who's cooked pancakes before? Now, I don't know the science behind it. Maybe if you do, you can type in the chat screen and educate us all. Why are the first 2 pancakes weird and dud pancakes? Why? And then the third one, it's awesome, but it tastes the same, but they're just dud. Now, so it's like that with your tiny challenge. It's your first one. Write this down. Messy is sexy. Messy is sexy. But you do your first one, it's your first pancake, it's a bit messy, I don't know, it's my first tiny challenge, and I do it, and I present an offer at the end, and they say no. And you're like, oh, it's a bit deflating, but that's okay, because only one person said no, not 100. And you didn't have to learn the skills, you didn't have to learn the speaking, you didn't have to learn the tech, you didn't have to learn all the fancy things, you didn't have to learn how to fill up a room, you could get started right now, 100% show rate, awesome, that's okay, they said no. First pancake, not a big deal. We can't expect a win on the first one, but that's fine. And so here's the 2 questions you want to ask at the end of your tiny challenge. How many of you can get the trust is so high at that point right then? Like the trust is huge. 2 questions you ask. When they say no, what made you say no? Get the data, because data is oil, data is dollars, data is currency. What made them say no? Understand that the next best question to ask is more important, is what would have made you say yes? What would have made you say yes? You'd be surprised on what people say. I'll give you an example. So we have our 6-week Tiny Challenge course, our Underdog Academy, and it teaches the choreography of the 5 days, what to do day 1, day 2, day 3, how to assign the homework, what homework to assign, how to present the offer. We give you seamless scripts for the delivery, everything from A to Z, so you can run it and run it tight and convert like crazy. But then one of the feedbacks we had was, oh, Richmond, you know what, if you had a recording of you actually running a tiny challenge, that would be it for me, because then I could watch it while I'm driving, or listen to it while I'm driving, or going to the gym, or cleaning the house, or I could just sit down and watch it, because I once I see it or hear it, I know. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So I went back to my archives, lucky I recorded it, got permission from our student, and said, can I put this recording in our course so they can see me running one with the framework I'm teaching? And that was a thing that got people over the line. And I'm like, wow, because I asked what would have made you say yes. Who's following? And now my offer is getting even better. And so the next time I do it, second pancake, it's getting a little bit better. It's still a little bit messy, but I got feedback on my offer. I got more data. I present it. I'm feeling a bit more confident. And they say no. I'm like, it's okay, but I'm feeling better about it. It's a close no. It's almost a yes. And it's only my second pancake. It's only my second lead. And ask them the 2 questions. What made you say no? Get the data. What would have made you say yes? Another example, Richmond, I've bought 3 other courses and I haven't touched many of them. It's not because I'm lazy. It's not because I don't have this dream that I'm willing to work towards, but because I just work better with accountability. How many of you work better with accountability? Not saying you're lazy, but you just do. Me too. Do you have accountability? Well, we didn't, but now we do. And we don't charge more for it. And we have accountability with $1 million coach, holding them accountable so they do more, they do better, they complete the course. More importantly, when they complete the course, guess what happens? They get paid. And so now we have accountability in there. Who can see the offer getting even better still? And then I do my 3rd tiny challenge. It's a little bit better now. It's less messy. It's like my 3rd pancake. And suddenly I present the offer based on the feedback of the first 2. I'm feeling more confident now as well. And I get my first yes online. And that's my first $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 online. It's not just money in your bank account, but it's a shift in your identity of who you are now as a coach. Because the very first time, you are now officially a legit paid coach. Who can feel that, by the way? Right? And that's real. Your confidence is sky high. Our average students get their first client in the first 3. And you present your offer now, but here's also the awesome thing is now you have a validated offer in the marketplace. The reason why everything else doesn't work for you is because your offer is not even validated. Yet alone you have to learn all the skills. Who's getting this right now? Yeah? And if you do this and you bomb it, it's not like you can do another one tomorrow. You have to wait another cycle, which is generally a month. Whereas this, if you bomb it, you can do one in the afternoon. Who's getting this right now? And it's only one person. And you get the proven offer done and you present it again, you get a no. That's okay, not a big deal. What made you say no? What would have made you say yes? Oh, Richmond, it's a 6-week program, but I'm going away for 2 weeks. Such a bad time, and you got such a good offer. Can I buy it now and start in 2 weeks' time to secure the offer? 100% you can. Oh my gosh, Richmond, 2 weeks right in the middle of your program. I'm away for 2 weeks. Can I get an extension? Can I get 8 weeks to complete the 6 weeks? 100% you can. Oh my gosh, can I get 12 weeks to complete 6 weeks because I'm on and off. I'm working in the mines and I got this FIFO thing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, awesome. Yes, you can. We give unlimited extensions. We give the full 6 weeks. It's not a deadline to finish it in the 6 weeks. Suddenly that made the offer even better because we had some flexibility. Who's getting this right now? Only because we asked what would have made you say yes. So if you're selling a 6-week course, maybe you should have some flexibility there as well because your students may not have that 6 weeks blocked off exactly in their time schedule to work with you over the next 6 weeks. Who's getting this right now? This is important only because I asked them what would have made you say yes. Now I know my offer is even better. It's got the recordings. It's got time extensions. It's got accountability. We add in the traffic cart and now we get a yes. Boom. Another 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000. Another yes. Boom. Now we're on a roll. We're getting better. Confidence is sky high. You never get 100% yeses in a row. That doesn't happen, but that's okay. What made you say no? What would have made you say yes? And suddenly, yes, 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 yes. And that's your first $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 online. And here's the crazy thing. You never needed to learn how to speak. You never needed to learn how to fill up a room. You never needed to learn how to do all the tech. You never needed to learn how to sell one-to-many. And you all could get started right now. Who's getting this right now? Right? And you might be thinking, Richmond, I don't know my niche. How many have been told that you need to niche down? Who's been told you need to niche down? And the riches are in the niches and blah, 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 blah. And it's true. You do, but not so soon. Because there's a lot of pressure. If you don't niche down here, you're done. Who gets that right now? You're not going to be able to fill up the room. Here, it's like Richmond. Like I'm a woman, but I'm a corporate woman. I'm also a single mom. I'm also a victim of abuse and I don't know who to coach. Well, here's what I'd say. Take a tiny challenge on a corporate woman. Take a tiny challenge on a single mom. Take a tiny challenge on a victim of abuse. And I guarantee after you do those three, you'll know exactly who you are called to serve, who's getting this right now. So the framework allows your niche to find you. I don't know my help statement. Richmond, I'm confused on my I help statement. You do 5, 6, 7 tiny challenges, you'll know your I help statement because you'll hear exactly what they're saying. Who's getting this right now? Right. And this is my favorite part. Who can see why Russell Brunson says this is the future of marketing? Who can see why? 100%. My favorite part. Now, if you needed brain surgery, touch wood, you don't need it, and you're looking for a brain surgeon, would you rather a brain surgeon has done 2,000 hours or 2,000 brain surgeries or a brain surgeon has only done 10? 100% you want the 2,000 hour one or 2,000 brain surgery one. Now, personally for me, I've done over 2,000 hours of one-on-one coaching. And I'm extremely competent at what I do. When I was an optometrist, I was an optometrist for 10 years, and after 10 years, I had done 20,000 eye tests. Would it be fair to say that I was a very competent optometrist? Would that be fair to say? 100%. Would it be fair to say that I'm a competent coach because I've done 2,000 hours of one-on-one coaching? 100%. You can't take that experience away from someone. Now, if you've done 10, 15, 20, 30 tiny challenges, you would have done your version of 100, 200, 300 hours of coaching. And that competency stays with you and you got paid at the same time. There is no other framework which allows you to earn while you learn. Who's getting this right now? Which is crazy. And when your competitors see that you open up your hot dog stand and they will open up one next to you, because they will. Your competitors, clients will say, why should I choose you over him or her? And you'll be like, well, because I've done 200 hours of one-on-one coaching. And then they cannot argue with that. Who's getting this right now? Yeah, cool. Who's loving tiny challenges? Yeah, excellent, cool. So when I presented this to Russell, he was blown away to the point where he started to run his own tiny challenges. I'm going to show you the video of that later on. And he made $200,000 from them. But before we do that, I have one small ask. Is that okay if I do one small ask for you guys? I have one small ask. I just launched a YouTube channel and I'm going to go deeper into tiny challenges. It's all going to be about helping every beginner coach make the first $25,000 online. Like that's the goal of the channel there. And I'd love for you guys to subscribe. That's my small ask there. Would it be okay if you guys go to my YouTube channel, just subscribe? I'm looking to grow it. I'd love you guys. There's already some training on there, which is super. I've done some keynotes on there. You'll see my Russell Brunson interview, 2 of them. You'll see another keynote I did, and we're uploading another one soon today as well. So you'll see some insanely valuable trainings on there that I've done. So you can go to Richmond YouTube, or you can scan the QR code, or take you to my YouTube channel and just hit the subscribe button. That would really, really mean a lot. And I know you're gonna get tons of value from that. So that's my small ask. Now, I just got this tiny challenge book. Who'd like a copy? Who'd like a copy of the book? Yeah, I would love for you to have a copy. The only problem is you can't buy one yet. You cannot buy one just yet. We just agreed on a distributor. I printed out 100 copies just to make sure it's good quality. I'm going to do a launch in a couple of weeks, probably about a month, a big launch. And we're expecting to sell a couple of thousand copies of this book during the launch. And I want to make sure that if that happened and you guys ordered it, that no one is waiting 3 months for their book. Like, I would hate that. Like, that would be terrible. So we shopped around for a distributor who would distribute thousands of copies in one go, like very quickly. And we finally got one, and we finally agreed on the terms and conditions, stuff like that. So we're going to do a big launch. I'd love for you guys to be a big part of the launch. I'm not going to advertise it to anyone outside who has not done my training. And in the launch, we're going to do some crazy giveaways that you don't want to miss. And it's only going to be like a $20 book or something like that. So it's not expensive. But the giveaways, I'd love you guys to be there. Who wants to be a part of the launch? And more importantly, who wants this copy of the book? Yep. Forwarded by Russell Brunson. He doesn't forward books. Forwarded by Russell Brunson, by the way. And so to be part of the launch, all you need to do, if you pull out your phone and send me a DM on my Facebook, and just DM me Tiny Book, I'll make sure you get on the launch. You can scan the QR code, it'll take you to my Facebook. It's got a blue tick. Just DM me the word Tiny Book, I'll make sure you get on the launch. One of the giveaways we're doing on the launch, FYI, is I'm going to be running a tiny challenge. And I'm gonna allow you guys, if you want, to sit in to just watch me do it. And at the end, I'm gonna open the floor for questions. Would that be useful? Because you can't, like, otherwise you want to see it yourself. And that's part of that's me part of the launch. So I'd love for you guys to be there. It'll be an awesome experience. But again, that's probably about a month away, but I'm just kind of preparing for it now. Now I'm going to share with you some stats. I shared with you before, like stats, like you wouldn't believe these stats, and I wouldn't believe it either, because now you know how the framework works. There's 2 questions at the end as well, which bow tie everything. Christine Riley tried to challenge me, and she said, Richmond, because this is what I said, like, first of all, this whole framework takes less time than running a group challenge. If you run a group challenge before, you know it takes you about 40 hours. How do I know? I've run 76 of them. 40 hours of that's prepping, marketing, filling, serving, fulfilling, everything. It's very difficult, very time consuming, and I have a team. To run 10 of these, it's about 25, 30 hours. And you get paid more, and you get 10 times less leads to do this correctly. Who's getting this right now? And it's way more forgiving, and you can get started right now. Now, you cannot get 10 no's in a row. It is impossible. I'm going to share with you something I do not want you to do, but I'm going to share with you how to get 10 no's in a row. This is how. So you got no, 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 no. And at the end of every no, you ask them the question, what made you say no? Get the data, and you ask them the question, what would have made you say yes? Get the data. So you got 20 points of data. Now, the only way you can get a no 10 times in a row is if you did not listen to that data and implement it on the next tiny challenge. Who's getting this right now? That it would be, it's impossible. They're basically saying, Richmond, if you do this, I will marry you. I know you're married, but I will marry you. They're basically saying, here's my money, take my money if you did this. And you didn't do it. Who's getting this right now? And if you don't do it, you probably deserve 10 no's in a row. You can't. Now, I get some requests are so crazy. But it's not even as crazy as you think. Like someone may say, oh, if you make it $1 a week for the next 18 years, then I'll buy. Well, I'm not going to do that, but no one's ever asked me of that, and don't do that. Like, that's going to be an instant no. But someone might say, oh, if you do it for $2 a week for the next 10 years, then I might buy. Now, there are going to be some requests that you're not willing to do, but that's okay. But out of 10 requests, there's probably only 3 or 4 where it's like, I'm not willing to do that, but about 6 or 7, you should be able to do. Who's getting this right now? Right? This is really key. Now, we had one student, Vicky, who got 12 no's in a row, and I heard a rumor that she got 12 no's in a row, and I couldn't believe it, because here I am preaching, you can't get 10 no's in a row. You can't fail. The question is, do you get 9 yeses, or do you get 1 yes, depending on how well you follow the framework, or whether you actually do have a framework. And so she got 12 no's in a row, and I'm like, okay. I brought her up on stage in a group call, and I said, Vicky, is this true? I've heard you got 12 no's in a row. She said, yes, it is. Okay. And she was deflated. And I said, let's work out this logically. Tell me the data. You must have got 24 points of data. What made them say no? What are those data points? What would have made them say yes? Give me all those 12. And she said, Richmond, I didn't ask. I'm like, oh, wow. I said, how come? Because we got to work, like after every tiny challenge you run, we give our students this worksheet here. It's a working worksheet to give themselves valuable feedback. Like this is the real life example of a worksheet. It's like, okay, I did it. How long did the chord take? What chord number 2? Like, you know what I mean? And so they can get better and better and better. And I said, how come you didn't ask? And she said, you know what, Richmond, I was so scared of what they would say. And she was legit really afraid of what they would say. And I felt it. And I get that sometimes some people can say some nasty things, and I've been called some nasty things, particularly in my childhood. But I've never had someone say anything that nasty that I couldn't handle. But she was just afraid that she was making something up. How many get that she was making something up that they were going to say like, you're crap, you're a fraud, you're like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what she was afraid of. Long story short, we had an intervention and she had her own breakthrough moment. Next 7 tiny challenges she ran, 6 from 7. And her life is not the same again. That's from Vicky. But I share that because I want to share this video here from Christine Riley. You'll love this story. I'm here with Christine.
Hello.
And she was skeptical on tiny challenges.
Absolutely.
And I said, you can't get 10 no's in a row. He said, I'll prove. Like, you tell a story.
All right. So he says, you can't get 10 no's in a row. And I said, dude, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove that I can get 10 no's. And it didn't work out in my favor because I didn't get to prove him wrong. What happened was, out of 10 tiny challenges, I got 9 yeses. It's cool. It works. Do it.
How much?
It was, for me, it was a little under $5,000.
Wow.
So it works. Do it.
Tell me a framework that gets 90% conversion. There's nothing.
Well, what I do is I explain to people that when you change your mind, you change your world.
Ooh, what a way to finish. Keep believing, never settle. Pretty cool, right? Now, don't be like Christine. I'm going to prove you wrong, Richmond. I'm going to get 10. That's not a good goal. Do the opposite. Get 10 out of 10, because we haven't had anyone get 10 out of 10. We had a lot of students get 9 out of 10. I'm not saying everyone's going to get 9 out of 10, but we've never had someone get 10 out of 10 yet. So that might be a little goal for you. In it is a mindset coach. Running group challenges, only made $5,000 in 12 months. Pivoted to tiny. Went to 10K a month. Watch the video. I'm here with Init, who you tell the story, Init.
So I was doing group challenges every month for about a year or so, and they weren't really converting very well at all. But when I heard his training about tiny challenges, I changed the way that I do my challenges. And since then, we've been averaging about $10,000 a month, and that's been for like the last half a year or so.
Wow.
I'm so grateful for the work that you do. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So good. And how many tiny challenges have you run now?
We've done, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know we just finished one this last week, just before Funnel Hacking Live, and we closed another client just yesterday.
Pretty cool, right? That's a mindset coach and just pivoted. Here are some more stats. Again, I wouldn't believe these stats if no one showed me on how, like, why it's so powerful. Super qualified client, progress through the accountability, those feedback questions, you get better every single time. This is Jeanette McPetrie, Brain Fog Coach for women, and she's only done 7 tiny challenges, enrolled 4 from 7 at $5,000 per client, 20K she made. Christy Charlton is a grief coach for widows. Her first 21 tiny challenges, 11 from 21, 63K. Luke Jennett, investor coach, he works full-time in corporate. So perfect for running a tiny challenge because he's working full-time, ultimate flexibility. 12 from 20 at 28K. Elizabeth is a tennis coach for teens, super high ticket she's got. 7 from 12, 88K. Now, Darlene is a loneliness coach for widows, and she's done 20 tiny challenges, 9 from 20 at 47K she's made. And Naomi is a life coach for mums. She's got 2 kids. Tiny challenges are perfect if you got kids because it gives you ultimate flexibility, 10 from 23 at 34K. And most of them started out from 0, never coached before. And here's some results in the last 90 days. I won't need to read all of these out to you, but this is like crazy. So 4K client, 2K client, another 3K client, 5K client, 10K client there. And this is from the last 90 days. Another paid in full, 4K, 4K, 3K, 2.5K, 50K in the last 12 months from tiny challenges. And this is only from the last 7 days. So I pulled this out from the last 7 days. These are the most recent ones from the last 7 days. $6,000 client, 5K client, 5K client, 100K client. Now, I know that number sounds huge to most people, including myself, but if you're wanting to sell a program that's over $10,000, what do you think the best vehicle to sell it is? Hello, Tiny Challenge. If you want to sell a program that's $1,000, what do you think the best vehicle is? Hello, Tiny Challenge. So this is the best vehicle for all prices, what's this one here? That was only $1,000 client. This is all in the last 7 days. £5,000 client, 22 clients at 25K, 4K clients, and 12K. Third paid in full. I want to share a story of Tracy Clark, who went from 0 to 113,000. She's an imposter syndrome coach. And I want to share this particular video. I interviewed her for about 15 minutes, but I cut it down to about 3.5 minutes for you because she shares with you on how she incrementally increased her prices through tiny challenges. Because you might be thinking, how are these people selling $5,000 courses or programs? And it doesn't start that way. Your first one might only be $1,000. And then you get better, the offer gets better because you got the feedback, then it's 1,200, another 1,200, suddenly, oh my gosh, I'm so good now, it's my 8th one, it's 2,000, then 2,000, and then 3,000. See how the price increases? Because write this down, you get good fast. This is from Tracy. So Tracy, tell us about some of the fears that a tiny challenge took away from a traditional challenge.
Tiny challenge, when you launched that, it absolutely changed the game for me because suddenly all those things that I was struggling with, the fear of doing a big challenge because I hadn't earned 10,000 yet, it just got rid of that. I wasn't 100% on my messaging either, but it didn't matter because it got rid of that. And so suddenly I could just get going. I could get the data. I could decide. My niche kind of found me. I started off helping you break through whatever's holding you back. I didn't really have it, helping pretty well everyone do everything.
Yeah.
And so my niche kind of found me, and it just made the whole process easy, and the fear went away, and I could just be me. I didn't have to present, it didn't have to feel like that. And it just, everything just got easy, and I had success quickly too, which like versus pro bono, which took so long. I couldn't believe it, so and I just decided when you launched this, I'm going all in on it, and I'm going to do, like, I did 5 in my first week, and then I did 20 in the first month.
Wow. What was the close rate out of like the first 10 and then the next 10?
Look, the first actually did about 4 in the first 10, And then, I found it was like getting to 6 and 7, as you said. So then on average, it was about 50%, and I'm still on average about 50% in total. And you might get a run of a few, and it just depends, but it's roughly about 50%, which is mind blowing to be able to do that. And so the first month of doing those 20 challenges, I earned 22,000, so like that just changed my life after all the struggle of having the 000 each month, and then there hasn't been a month that I've earned when I kept doing tiny challenges less than 10. And that was why, even though I had, trips away interstate and I had surgery and I had all other things, I still was able to do that. And yeah, Rich, this is a game changer. What you've designed with Tiny Challenge is mind blowing. It's so good.
Wow. And credit to you, Tracy. What was the price point of your program on the first Tiny Challenge, and how has the price increased? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. $14.97 Australian. In my first time, I was like,
$14.97.
Yeah,
Wow. Yep.
And I sort of said, this is not going to stay at this, but this is what you get to get me at the beginning. And then, so I sold 3 at that price, and then I went up to 1,800. And I sold 1 at 1,800, and then I went to 2,000, sold 1 at 2,000, and then I went to 3,000 Australian. And I think I sold about 3 at 3,000 Australian, and then boom, Catherine actually said at UPW, so pretty well, she's like, you got to get into US dollars, and then I was 3,000 US dollars, and now the program's 5,000 US dollars.
Wow, which is around about like 7,500, which means like you've basically 5x your prices through this model here. And this is a hidden benefit. People think, oh, my price will be the same, but you can see this as the way to make money fast. And I mean like the fastest, most efficient way possible with the least amount of skill.
But you build your skill really quick too, Rich. That's the other thing that was like I got really good really fast. And confident really fast too with this model. So that was huge too. And also the data in the nose helped me. The offer kept refining, adding more. So now I'm adding all these extra done for you bits and all this, which didn't start out like that. That was what they needed. So, and that's what would have had them say yes. So add it in and boom, now everyone's saying yes.
So good, so good. Tracy, I appreciate you coming on super last minute and sharing your journey as well. And Tracy, one final question. You got so addicted to this model that you kind of didn't want to leave the model. What made this so addictive to you?
Yeah, thanks, Rich. It's what you said right at the beginning is the show up rate of group challenge versus tiny challenge. And I didn't want to waste leads, because it's so hard to get a lead anyway. So if you can have 10 leads to do 10 tiny challenges and convert at 50% versus you've got to get 100 to get 10, and then you're going to convert in a group challenge at maybe 20 or 30%. Like, to me, the maths made tiny challenge such a no-brainer. And I guess I was trying to be efficient. And thank you, Rich. And let me just say, Rich, you could ask me 5 minutes before and I would drop everything for you. And I'm so, so grateful to you. You have absolutely changed my life. So, so much love and appreciation.
That is from Tracy Clark. Now, after the podcast with Russell, he was so blown away by it that he messaged me, and I'll show you. He messaged me and he sent me a 2-minute voice clip. He said, "Wow, Richmond, whoa, tiny challenges. I want to do some. I'm like, oh, Russell Brunson wants to run tiny challenges." And it's like, yeah, can you send me the framework and the choreography and whatever you have on how do I structure day 1? How do I go to day 2? How do I build out the whole choreography? How do I transition the offer? What's the homework that I should be assigning? How do I assign it? What's the accountability look like? All the little nuances and the bits and pieces. And to his words, he said, because I want to be your perfect case study. That's exactly what Russell Brunson said. And so I sent it all to them, and he did 2 tiny challenges and made $200,000 from tiny challenges. So this is from Russell Brunson.
Lead gen simple on this. The funnel simple. The follow through simple. The sales script is simple. The tech is simple. This is the easiest, lowest barrier, least stressful, most simple thing I think I've ever seen. Like when you presented to me, I was just like, this is so brilliant. Everyone needs to be doing this. I never thought I would do one-on-one coaching at all, let alone like one-on-one challenge. But I'm doing 2 of them right now. Super profitable. This is like one of the most simple, most brilliant things I think I've ever heard. I'm legit like right now. Are you guys freaking out a little bit too?
All right. So that's from Russell Brunson himself, and he ran 2 tiny challenges, made $200K from it. Guys, has this been valuable so far? I want to make sure this has been useful and valuable. Excellent. I'm glad.